Hello, how are you? How's everybody? Look, so this is the chapter number 7 of the Bring Civilization Back Trust by LEGroup, Law and Exports Group. We are in business for 12 years, but we've been through so many things all over these 12 years doing international sales that we have decided that our business is a little bit more complicated than simply going all over the world and doing sales, okay? Because that's what I do the most. So today on this chapter number 7, we have somebody here, which is Cassandra Obrien. How are you doing, Cassandra? Are you there?
I'm doing great.
How are you?
Doing well.
Welcome.
Doing great, Augustin.
Welcome
doing
to the
great. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Welcome to the Bring Civilization Back Trust. This is not a show. This is a trust. It's a trust because we trust me to get better. All right. So we have Cassandra here because she's been helping us for over 1 year now with cost. Cassandra, she's more of a salesperson, commercial, but she's been helping us with legal stuff. And then we're like, why? Why you do sales? Why you're the marketing guy? You're the guy who goes traveling all over the world, telling jokes and saying hello, and everybody's happy that you're visiting them and doing sales. But instead of doing that, you have a team. Cassandra is a lovely girl. She's very good on sales too. But instead of doing sales, we're doing law. So that's the biggest case of the Bring Civilization Back Trust. It's like why we are doing law instead of doing just sales. Okay? Why? Because our civilization is dead. That's why. Because our civilization is dead. And we have a poor signal here, it seems. I think I lost her. Are you back?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to discuss here on this chapter number 7 the case of slate. The slate. We do sell components for the billiard pool tables. So when you build a billiard pool table in your home, you go and you buy at these all American shops like American Heritage, Presidential Billiards, Watson Cincinnati, Brunswick. Then you're like, oh, this is such an American. And they may even do advertising law. It's all about the price. So they have the cheapest billiard pool tables in America that they offer free shipping. Like you do not even need to pay for shipping. But now I work in the industry because I do business to business. I sell the components for those stores, and I've been doing this for 15 years. But nowadays, in 2020, I'm regretting that a lot. And maybe Cassandra can explain why. Why am I regretting that? I regret being involved on the sales of billiard slate components for the billiard pool table industry. Why? Can you answer that question, Cassandra?
Unfortunately, throughout the time that you've done business with them, at the end of the day, they broke the contract. And when they broke the contract, they not only did that, they stole your customers, and then they slandered, and then hundreds of thousands of dollars lost turned into millions because of those broken contracts. And unfortunately, you've seen the wrong end of the deal happen for you, and it's just been a complete fiasco. It's just so unfortunate that one of your employees can just do so much wrong. And so with that being said, they didn't realize that when they did break those contracts that there was a penalty to pay. And so now acting as a consultant, having to file the proper paperwork, it's just, like I said, it's been a complete fiasco for you. I don't know what else to say as far as it's unfortunate.
Yeah, what she's saying is that because she's been helping us with all these lawsuits. Okay, in this case is one of them. It's a supplier of slate from Brazil to the United States. I joined this industry about 15 years ago, and that was at the first stage of this project. So at that time, my bosses were Jack Phillips in the United States. He was a customer representing a lot of stores, and Giuseppe Arata and Ivone Doimo, that they were manufacturers of furniture and slate in Italy. So as I speak Italian, I am Italian myself, I was hired by those companies to transfer all this production from Italy to Brazil. And why we did that? We did that because of costs, because of globalization. And I was only 25 years old, a young UP, and I was working, I was happy about this job. So I'll be traveling often to the United States. And I established the whole thing. What I did not know, but now I know, unfortunately, is that I was digging my own sepulture, I was digging my own hole, because I was basically killing my own civilization. Because I moved this thing to Brazil. I was the executive. There's a guy there, he's called Alexandre Almeida. He was my intern. That's why she mentions the employee. He was my employee at that time. That was 15 years ago. So I was training him. I explained. He did not speak English. A lot of they have never been to the United States. And so I was explaining to them the whole thing. We structured the whole, we assembled all the machinery, and we started to develop on our perspective as a Western civilization person. I was thinking we were developing Brazil. We did not know we were killing America and killing Italy. But that's what happened, because now that Brazil is developed and they're producing our product that we have trained them, which is an Italian product made in Brazil to supply the American market. Now, I am being a victim of a Brazilian way of doing business. So now that Brazil has the power of producing these things themselves, after years of investment and training and all sorts, from paperwork to they are Brazilianizing us. They are destroying America. They're destroying Europe, because they're just draining all this production, but they're not respecting our laws. So now we're the victims of this. Like, we created our own killer. So now we are facing problems like slandering and defamation instead of receiving a payment. For example, why? Because 2 years ago, this company in Brazil had problems 10 years ago. They didn't pay commissions to Jack Phillips. It was a fiasco. They were out of the market for 10 years. Then this guy contacted me again 2 years ago, and he asked me to reestablish this business. And when I started to reestablish this business, I made the program and I started working. So that's the contract. That's the new contract with Grupo Minar. So I reassembled all this structure. Then we were shipping again. But then once we were shipping, that was about a year and a half ago, there was problems in my company. And then instead of continuing the shipping and continuing what was agreed, was a very American way of doing business, they started to cut me off, because they do not want to pay for my costs. And then they started to contact my clients direct and do slandering and defamation against me. So instead of paying my bill and saying, thank you for this success, thank you for reestablishing this business, thank you for training us how to do this, thank you for the translations in English, thank you for explaining how Americans think, how they buy, how they work, instead of doing all of this, no, they cut me off. They didn't pay my commissions. What was agreed was 5%. And even worse, they contacted my clients in the United States, doing slander and defamation and involving them on this business, saying, oh, you're buying from me, I'm the special guy. And talking to them. And he started even to pay the sales rep that I hired in Wisconsin direct. So he was sending money to him direct and cutting me off. That was a fiasco. That's been like 1 year. It's been very hard. I received something very stupid from the Brazilian embassy in Washington. They called me saying that, oh, your lawsuit's perfect, keep it going. We praise for justice, and so you're right. But then I'm like, okay, I got that from the Brazilian embassy in Washington, but it's been over 1 year and I just don't get any payments, and I don't receive the payments. I don't solve the problem. So Cassandra is helping us a lot. So this is also part of the project of bringing the civilization back, which is we want to recover Italy, because for what reason we made this massive investment in Brazil? Because to save costs, because globalization is all this thing about cost, price, cost, and we want to bring civilization back. We want, you know what? Let's just go back to what life was about, like in the 90s, so that a sales guy would receive his commissions and say thank you very much, and I'll be inviting my customers for dinner. I'll be traveling to America. We will be doing maybe inviting the customers to visit the production facilities in Italy, having a beautiful fiesta there in Italy for the weekend. There's cost there, but that's life, right? Right, Cassandra? What do you think about bringing the civilization back? What do you think? You, as an American customer, would you rather buy?
Augustin, I completely love the new idea of bringing civilization back, but with that comes that old school code that let's get it back around the dinner table. Let's get the conversations in real time instead of on the internet. Let's take off and shut the computers down, because you never have that real relationship with any of your clients when it's only computers. I think you'll develop a deeper sense of business relations, and I think you have an excellent idea in doing so. So I think it's a magnificent idea and well thought out. I'm excited, and I really want to see what the future holds in this, because I think you're onto something. And old school, let's go back to where our roots are, and that's around the table.
Yes.
Discussing ideas instead of online.
Yes, and just going back to this case in particular, Cassandra has helping us also with the Wisconsin finest cheese and other problems we have right now in the commercial aspect of our business. But going back to this, like this client's the funniest thing. This case is so crazy that the funniest thing is that I am the guy who knows Grupo Minar in Brazil face to face, who has worked in the quarries, that know the whole product for 15 years. I even imported the machinery, and the invoices the guy uses, he was my intern in Brazil. And on the other hand, I'm also the guy who has been to the trade shows. So even Brian Phillips, who's the sales guy, who's the son of Jack Phillips, he may know this less than I do, because I was for 2 times in Las Vegas. That was 2004, 2005. It's still when America was civilized. So on those years, we would invite our customers for dinner. So I have had that with Watson's, with Presidential Billiards, with Brunswick, all those companies in America. I had that, so we used to do that until 2005, 2006, but then globalization came and kind of deleted all this industry, and now it's this online thing. So at some point, civilization works, because this is a case of success, because I have met this customer and this supplier face to face, all of them. And Brian Phillips, that's why when I contacted Brian Phillips 10 years later, I said, can we reestablish that? And that's why also the guy in Brazil hired me. But then once the business is running, we had these attacks and we were robbed and the whole thing. And they cut us off, and all this low-class business that we have nowadays, what's happening for 1 year. Because we realized, no, we're in 2020. This civilization no longer exists. But we have one more case of success, or something that was planted like 15 years ago. It was continued to go on this old-fashioned way, but suddenly it was not. We had this customer call, this guy in Brazil calling, and that's something I'm going to discuss in the next video, which is on our conversations with the attorneys. One of the points is, I'm in America, I have a company in America. Cassandra, she's American, she lives in America, she pays tax in America, I pay tax in America myself. I have a work visa in the United States. I am an American myself. And then I am working in the United States, and then I am competing with guys who are using WhatsApp and contacting my customers direct. And Brazilianizing everything in the United States. So another thing that we've been in all these discussions, because it's been over 1 year and a half, you have all these problems. Like, one of them is visa. Because what's the point if there's such a massive amount of work to get a visa to go to the United States, but then I have somebody overseas, they're using like WhatsApp and calling my clients and telling them lies and doing businesses the Brazilian way in the United States, but they're not even physically, they have never been there, they do not even talk to this customer face to face, they don't know them, and then I'm having this competition. So one of the things is like, do you think that makes sense that sometimes guys like this, they should apply for a license or an electronic visa to have access to the American market, that they could contact people in the United States by over the phone, because this guy just grabs the WhatsApp and he calls my customers and do whatever he wants. And like, what sort of protection do I have is if I have an American company that somebody can just grab the phone and talk to my clients direct and do slandering, defamation, and having all the problems I had. I think they should have like a visa even to call somebody in the United States. Do you understand what I'm saying, Cassandra? Or is this too crazy? It's too...
I agree. I agree. That's one of the biggest problems with globalization these days, is that they're taking American-made products and they're just saying, they can say they're from America and sell them. And I believe that needs to stop. I believe that our trade needs to be, their whole infrastructure needs to be redone to do exactly what you're saying here. You know, if you're in America, you should have that license to say, I am an American or in America and I'm selling that product here. Now I'm in Brazil and I'm selling that product here to you because I say I am there. And it's creating that smoking mirror of what's really going on here. You know, I mean, I think you're dead on the spot with that idea, Augustin.
Okay, thank you. Because one of the things that, and then we're going to finish this video today. One of the most important things is labor cost. Is like it's called the French Revolution ideals and the Civil War Revolution ideals. It's like you do have rich and poor in America, in France, almost all over the world, but there is some sort of connection between them and some respect of the minimum conditions of life. So that's what the French Revolution was about. That's what the Civil War in the United States was about. And one of my biggest struggles doing business between Brazil, which is a country that has no middle class, and the United States, which is a country that has a very strong middle class, was this thing about cost and labor. Because I am being treated as a Brazilian slave, but I am in the United States by a Brazilian king who is calling my customers and slandering, defamation, treating me like nothing, because that's how they treat people in Brazil. But this business is in the United States, so that's why we're saying that it's not only about being made in America, it's also following the ideals of the Civil War, the ideals of the French Revolution, which means freedom, respect, equality. It means I have problems with Brazilian sheikhs, okay, that in America, that they would not pay for taxi tips, for example. That was in Las Vegas. It was he would just run out of the taxi and not pay the tip. And now have the owner of the taxi, the taxi driver, he'll be complaining and yelling and saying, why? Hey, you have to pay. It's not only the $3 that says there, it's also the tip. And then I need to be explaining this Brazilian guy that in America you do pay labor. And I have a lot of cases. Okay, that was one of furniture. I'll try to be quick. It was about one truck of furniture that I had to be loaded in High Point in North Carolina and be shipped to Los Angeles. And I had a quote from those guys. There were about 4 guys, and they said they would do the job for like $500. But then my Brazilian boss, customer, actually I was a customer of the furniture business, he said, no, pay only $200. And now I was in this in this pressure that I had to but I don't want to slave Americans. I don't want to Brazilianize Americans. So what I do, I explain to Brazil it costs $600 in America, and then I'll explain why. Because there's middle class there. Because they Americans, they have their own car. They don't live in shanty towns, so that's why $600. I'm not saying $60,000. I'm not saying 66,000. It's not a party time, but it's $600. It's enough for them to have their own car or to have their own house and their own family, the basics. It's not Brazil that they pay $6. That's the biggest point. So an executive like me, hired by Grupo Minar, I will have a contract that they'll be paying me like $10,000, $15,000 a month. So I was very generous to really try to find the middle point and make the thing work, and they work. And then, but unfortunately, once this guy is there enjoying all the benefits of $1.5 million on sales and possibly $2 million in 2019, he's just like he just cuts me off and start telling my customer that I'm crazy, that I'm this, that I'm that he already knew the customer, whatever. Like, it's unbelievable. But the things are on court. The good news is that the way it's going is once they start to do all this mess, I requested to leave, and I accepted their actions against me, and then I sent them a contract of termination. But that was 1.5 years, and that was $47,000. And but they didn't do anything. They don't respond. They just respond with stupid stuff like insults online. The last one was 2 weeks ago. I have a brother that he lives in Brazil. They called Alexandre Almeida, and Alexandre he received threats like, if you keep insisting, you're going to learn. Like, so no, this is an American, and you guys, another discussion I have is like, you're buying from the United States, where the money comes from, the customer. It's an American business, and the slate was an Italian business. Can you just respect that? That's the culture of your clients. So, but as 1 year has gone through, and they're just giving this stupid response. What we did, we have updated the invoices. So now the invoices, they include 2019, because it seems my contract is still open. If you didn't accept the termination of contract, you did not pay, now you need to pay 2019 as well. So now the bill is $90,000. It's not $47,000, it's $90,000. And that's how we're going to finish. And all this money is going to be used to rebuild our civilization. And I'm saying this, Cassandra Obrien is our witness. Are you there? Are you there? This is going to be
I'm
to
here,
rebuild the
Augustin,
civilization.
and I am, unfortunately, I have witnessed the entire fiasco. And this is going to be a year that I think is going to be a winning year, because we will bring an end to the ones that couldn't just simply fill out a form and use the law in the United States as our backer, because that essentially represents who we are, using the law to protect a company, a smaller company, in the bigger schemes of things. I guess I just don't know how to answer that, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see what it brings, and I'm excited to actually bring them in the court of law to have a little bit of justice done for you, and then to use cases like Phillips versus Phillips, that was a Supreme Court ruling stating that this is wrong, and see what they have to say when using the law in the United States.
And first of all, talking about
that is in Brazil or wherever they are. Yeah.
And another thing is, like, first of all, like, you are an American, you're the customer on this whole, in this business in particular, talking, it's an American people, it's American citizens, it's a product that goes to the United States. So, like, are you happy being an American? Because that's something that I know, is that I have never seen an American that says, I don't like being American. I don't, like, are you happy? Like, do you like the way things are? Like, do you want to change America? Do you want to make America look like Brazil? Or do you want to be American? Or do you want businesses to be conducted the Brazilian way in the United States? Like, do you understand my question?
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. For me, I'm a true patriot. Do I like the way things are being ran in America right now? Absolutely not. I believe there's a lot of almost like a hornet's nest around everywhere you go lately. And yeah, it is time for new re-elections, things like that. But there's a change coming this year, and you can feel it in the air, where people and Americans around us, they're starting to change what they want. And when you said that new civilization of that old school code, I believe there's going to be a movement to go back to that. I think you're just at the forefront of that movement, and so I'm truly excited.
Okay.
But to answer your question, yeah, I do love America, and I love being here. Do I want change? Yeah, because there is a lot of corruption, unfortunately. And that is because of globalization is here.
You want a change to what it was like maybe 20 years ago. You want this problems like the ones I'm facing right now.
Absolutely.
It's like just to be not to happen, to be cut from the beginning. Like how we came to such a level of intensity in this problem that should have been solved like 1.5 years ago. And I'm talking in circles to a Brazilian businessman that's just imposing his way of doing business in the United States, acting like if he were in America, and forcing everybody to adapt to that. But anyways, look, let's finish now. Thank you very much for being here, and let's stay positive and believe that this is going to come to a conclusion very soon. This is the chapter number 7, and we keep it going. It's a lot of things to talk about. Today was slate between the United States and Brazil. a business that I've been involved for 15 years, in Italy as well, Italian, Brazilian, and American business. And we have here Cassandra Obrien, that she's helping us from Tennessee. She's doing a lot of work for us, and she's been also struggling like myself, because obviously we have damages and losses and a lot of problems once somebody just does not pay. In this particular case, this Brazilian entrepreneur, he not only did not pay our commissions, but he also did slandering, defamation, which is my gun, because I'm a sales guy. I live on my reputation, but once I have a guy calling my clients and saying that I'm horrible, whatever, I lose business myself. And I lost product too, because he was my supplier, so I had no product, no commission, and I was slandering and defamed. So I had no way. I'm like with my hands tied. That's how I was robbed, and that's really bad. Yeah. That's not America. That's not what we sell. That's not what the United States is about. So we're going to keep it going, and God bless. We have an amazing 2020, and thank you very much, Cassandra, for being here once again. It's very good to listen to you again. All right. Okay. All right. Ciao, ciao. Let's finish. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.